Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK12 team, and my colleague Katie and I will be running today's webinar to share with you updates on CK12 and refresh some key skills in the process. We're so glad you've joined us. We've taken feedback from any of you who joined us last year and have revamped part of this year's Certified Educator program. Hopefully, you not only saw the information and registration pages, but you also saw the CEP Alumni tab in the middle. If you completed our program already and don't see your name or picture on there, please click on the link at the bottom to get your information added to that page. In addition to updating our Certified Educator program, our team has been busy continually updating our offerings to make your experience and that of your students better. Since any updates to CK12 this year were incorporated into our core content for this year's program, we built this session especially for all of you who completed our 2017 Certified Educator program and want to learn about changes to our site as well as preview our upcoming FlexBooks 2.0. Hopefully most of you remember how to use Zoom. Looks like you guys are already having a conversation in the chat window, and that is awesome. Any questions that you have for Katie today, you can put in the Q&A window. One new thing this summer is that we're using a Google Classroom to host resources and assignments for the program. If you're interested in seeing any of those, you are more than welcome to join using the join code in your welcome email and then explore the different session resources. A particular resource you may find useful throughout the CEP Google class is the session resource page we have been creating to go along with each webinar. The one for this particular session can be found in the matching topic in that Google class, but we're also posting it in the chat window if you want to access it directly.
So today's session is called Brush Up, Skills Refresher and Updates to CK12. Specifically during this webinar, we'll be covering the following topics. Technical updates. This includes updates to classes, assignments, and our learning management system integration, as well as our new redesigned concept pages, study guides, and tools. Then content updates, our chemistry simulations, and redesign and embedding of our Plix interactives, as well as some new Flexbooks for Common Core Interactive, our Common Core State Standard Interactive Flexbooks, and College Flexbooks. And then finally, a quick preview of our upcoming FlexBooks 2.0.
Before we get started with today's content, let's take a minute to see how familiar you guys are with CK12 and our trainings. You'll see a poll here in just a few seconds. It's going to prompt you to answer a short question. So here's what we're asking. Where do you stand on training with CK12 through webinars and the Certified Educator program? We'd like to know, which of you are new to the CK12 Certified Educator program and just did your first webinar this week? Another option, I attended webinars this past school year. I attended part of the 2017 Certified Educator program, and I completed the 2017 Certified Educator program and became CK12 certified. Just curious of who decided to attend this brush up session today. Let's see, we're waiting on a few more of you to select your answer. And interesting, maybe Katie, maybe it's a little different than I would have expected when we built this session. We're excited all of you guys are here, but perhaps this is different. We're going to go ahead and end the poll.
So it looks like, the majority of you actually are new to the program and just did a webinar this week. So I'll just keep that in mind as I talk. A lot of this stuff you'll see kind of built into the core webinars that you're taking throughout the Certified Educator program. But it will give you an idea of kind of all the things that were new this year that you might not have realized. And that gives you an idea of kind of the amount of content and technical components that CK12 updates on a regular basis to continually make the experience better for you. So I think with that, we're going to move into technical updates. So as I was saying, our incredible development team continually works to make our backend better by enhancing performance and the algorithms we use to present questions and resources to you and your students. In addition to the work on the backend, they've made some incredible updates that you have hopefully noticed as you explore and use ck12.org, as well as all of the resources on there. The first group of technical updates I want to review is based around assignments, classes, and learning management system integration. So one of the things we did this year was that we streamlined our groups feature. We used to have study groups and classes, and really the class feature was the feature that was most useful in terms of assigning work and seeing progress. So we actually combined those into a single option. Now the teacher is the only one that can create that group. They can assign work within there. They can see student progress in there. And because we changed it from both study groups and class groups, we figured it was more appropriately named as classes. So we have renamed that. For now, you'll see the little under the classes logo in the top, the parentheses with groups, so that you kind of review what that is. One note about this, we are looking into options to have co-teachers host the same group within CK12. So that same class, we've had questions about, well, I co-teach, am I a co-teacher, can't see student work, how does that work, what are my options? So that is coming out. If you're interested in giving us thoughts on that, how many co-teachers you might need in a class, should they have the same features and access to delete or post or all of those pieces, please feel free to email us and we'll put you in touch with the dev team that's finishing that development. And that way your input will help us develop that feature so that you can have a co-teacher work with you in a CK12 class. So the next part is that we made it so that it was very clear that students have to turn in their work. So before we had questions about students saying, I wasn't sure if it was submitted or not, or how does this work? And so across reads and videos, our simulations, and practice and quizzes, and all those pieces, you're gonna see this option to turn in. And that means that if a student does work and they're seeing their report and you've assigned it and you're not seeing it, you wanna make sure that they've clicked that turn in button either on CK12 if you're using CK12 classes, or within the learning management system if you're using Classroom or Canvas or Schoology or something like that. So make sure that they're clicking that turn in button so that you see their work as they complete it. Now, with that in mind, we often get the question of, well, when can they turn it in? How is that score reported? What happens here? So we created this quick little reference chart. You'll see it in some of our other reference sheets, those session resource pages, specifically the ones related to Google Classroom, as well as our getting started with practice sessions. So this has this quick reference, and basically the idea is that adaptive practice and your quiz you can kind of turn in at any point in time. So if you're doing practice, you can save it, turn it in, go back to it, return it in. Quizzes, you could do the same thing if the teacher allowed for multiple attempts on that. And it's going to report the latest score up to the due date that they have actually turned in. So if you take a quiz and you get 100 on it, and then you take it again and you get a 70 on it, the score report, the student wouldn't want to turn in that second one because they've already turned in the higher score as they're working there. Our text and our video modalities, so what we call our reads, videos, and real-world applications, those they can turn in after they open it. So that kind of turn in button will appear once they access it. We don't track how long they're in there or anything like that. And they just get full or no credit for those pieces. So it's just kind of a check that they accessed it, and then they can't come in the next day and say, but I couldn't find my text, because they already turned it in. And then our two interactive options require that a student explores it a little bit before they can turn it in. So for Plix, they have to actually start answering questions. For simulations, they have to start exploring that opening question or the sandbox environment, and then they can click the turn in button. And once again, those are learning modalities, so they get full or no credit as they work their way through. But each of them has kind of that place at which students can now turn in their work, and that should make it very clear if they've submitted their homework or not as they go. Now, we've also made some updates to our CK12 class reports. One of the things you'll see, we had teachers say, hey, I have multiple students with the same first name, so we made sure to add last name components there. My first 3 students just have initials only because I wanted to keep their last names private. But you sort them by last name, They're accessible there. So hopefully that does a better job of matching any gradebook you might be kind of working with. The other thing about reports is we're continually trying to update these. So you'll see new features as we work our way through. One thing that's coming out shortly is the ability to download your report as a CSV option. And if you want to beta test that and help us kind of fine tune that before we release it, once again, please email us and we'll put you in touch with that dev team so they can get feedback from you. We've also done some updates with our learning management system integration. So you'll see on the bottom there, Kiddom. They really host CK12 content within their platform. So we don't do a lot of training on integration with them, but you will start seeing that content available in Kiddom. We've also updated some other of our learning management systems, Google Classroom, Canvas, and Schoology, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more now. But you can find out all that information on our tools and apps page. So the biggest change in terms of integration is our Google Classroom integration. And this is super exciting to us because the other day we were doing a webinar and it looked like about 50% of the people in that webinar were starting to use Google Classroom. And so we really wanted to make it easy for you to assign to Google Classroom and see student work there. Originally, we had the option to share something to Google Classroom, and that option is still available. So you might want to share a chapter or a whole textbook or another resource as an announcement or something like that. But if you want to actually see student reports, you can now choose the same assign to class feature that you would for assigning to a class within CK12. And then instead of picking the CK12 option, you simply click on the Google Classroom option. Once it's connected to your classroom in Google, you can then simply click all the classes you want to assign it to, choose your due dates for those classes, add instructions, and that gets sent over to Google Classroom. From there, students can do their work within the classroom environment, they can turn in work within the classroom environment, and you can see all of their scores and progress within Google Classroom. So once you've sent it over to there, all of that work and progress and kind of access to the reports lives within Google Classroom. You don't need to do anything else on CK12. You're not going to monitor progress on CK12. You can see it all right there with the rest of your work inside Classroom. We have updated a couple things with our Canvas and Schoology integration as well. It used to be kind of just titles that you were searching for to add content and assign within Canvas and Schoology. It's now defaulted to this view within Schoology, and you can preview it within Canvas. And this allows you to see kind of the same level of detail on what you could choose to assign within Canvas and Schoology that you would see directly on the CK12 site, and the same formatting for that. So those little cards, which I'll talk about shortly. The other piece is that before now, you could only assign kind of some of the core modalities, and we have released Plix interactives and simulations in Canvas as well. So that's now available in both of them, so you can assign all your interactives across both platforms. So the next round of technical updates I want to talk about are our concept pages, study guides, and tools. The first one, as you just saw on that Canvas and Schoology, is that we redesigned what we call our concept pages. So before, you might have seen a number of different reads accessible, a number of different videos maybe on the same page, and you weren't always sure kind of which one to pick or where to start. And so we redesigned it so it's clean and you can actually see kind of each type of modality cleanly aligned within this page. Along with that is the modalities, and as I was saying, there might be multiple modalities, and so if there was more than one read or more than one simulation, in this case there's, it looks like 3 more videos there, then those are there as well. So it's not like we hid those resources from you, we just kind of cleaned up the view. And then if you want to say, this read's great, but maybe I want kind of a more advanced read or a more basic read that might be helpful for my students, then I can click on that more read option or more video option, and it will expand and show you all of the resources for that modality type within that particular piece. We've also updated some pieces for viewing and accessing our study guides. So there is a study guides browse page. Students will see that on the home page as one of their little circle icons next to practice and Sims and Plix, where kind of the schools icon is on a teacher page. But if you're in any branch that has study guides available, there's an option to see them directly on that branch concept page. And that will take you to this browse option. And you can see we have study guides for a number of different areas across math and science, and you could quickly see what they look like. Now, if I open any one of them, we actually get a full page view. Before it used to be kind of inside a box. And instead, you're now getting a full page view for that with a quick and easy access to download that, add it to your library, or share it with classes. So hopefully that makes it easier for students to kind of access these short little, almost like our session resource pages with quick reference to what they're studying there. One other piece, so in our practice, students, if they get a recommended resource and it pops up in there, it used to be that you couldn't annotate within that. Now you can actually highlight and add notes within that resource, even if you're accessing it from within the practice options. So that might be helpful if you're trying to say, okay, well, read this to help you study before you go back to practice, but you want students to have the same ability to take notes. They now have that option to add annotations in that embedded view. And one last piece that is there for Earth Science. Right now, we're kind of testing out this idea of an auto summary. And so what this does is it's taking the key concepts within there and creating a quick little summary option. You can see that on the left there, and that will help maybe kind of students think about what they might do if they were summarizing this. It's a great reference if you wanted to have them try to summarize first and then check the summary that we created from there. Currently, this is a new feature and it's just available for Earth Science as we test it out. But if you happen to be working with Earth Science, it might be worth seeing how it works and seeing if you have any questions or it's helpful for your classes. So I think we're going to probably continue on. I did leave a little section and time for questions, but it looks like Star's been doing great answering some of those questions in there. And so I'm going to keep sharing these resources, and if at any time you have questions, please feel free to post them in Q&A, and we will be sure to get back to those. The next area that I wanted to talk about was our content updates, starting with our simulations and Plix interactive pieces. So we have physics simulations. We've had physics simulations for a couple of years now, I think. We have over 100 of those floating through our site. But we've been releasing chemistry simulations this year. And that's super exciting to kind of think about branching to the next area. We got a lot of questions in our interactives webinar this morning about what about biology, what about mathematics, what about this, what about other subjects. Right now we're working on our chemistry ones. When we finish that, we'll get a chance to look into what other subject areas we might be able to do next. Hopefully most of you guys have been in enough webinars that you realize our team is super small. We keep it that way so that we don't have to charge you for anything. But it does mean that it takes a little bit of time to develop, and these are really complex systems and design work to develop here. But you are seeing chemistry simulations there. Right now, you're not going to see the worksheet. Those worksheets should be out by this fall. We're starting to add videos to them. So they're continually being enhanced so that they include all of the components similar to what you see in our physics simulations. In terms of our other interactive options, our Plix, you'll start seeing redesigned Plix throughout our system. So we've been taking some of those kind of older Plix that we had designed our in-house a while ago, and with our quick little tool, and adding more visually appealing graphics to them that relate to that particular topic. So you'll start seeing those more kind of cleaner interfaces for that piece as you interact. We also started embedding Plix within our Flexbooks. Right now, that is an internal option. I know we've had a lot of requests for the ability to embed Plix elsewhere, and we are looking into options to expose that embed piece. But right now, you'll start seeing those in some of our newer books. So just keep in mind that you might see just a link embedded right there. If you are trying to use a Plix in your Flexbook at this time, you are always more than welcome to select the URL at the top and hyperlink it directly within your book, or share that URL externally. But you will see the embedding option there as we go. I also want to talk about some of our new Flexbooks that are coming out and have come out so far. So the first of those is our Common Core State Standard Interactive Flexbooks. So These Flexbooks were designed with the Common Core philosophy in mind. So you've seen kind of alignment to Common Core on our site. Here's a topic in Common Core. Here's a resource that would go with that. But we really wanted to get at the heart of the Common Core and that exploratory component and say, how does a student learn this topic by exploring, by working with it, versus simply saying, okay, here's the topic, I'm going to learn it the traditional way, but now it aligns to kind of the order that Common Core noted. So we started including some interactive components in there. We started including some more active learning pieces in there, and you'll see those as you work your way through. Right now, you'll see live components for algebra and geometry, and we are working on the middle school math books as well, and those will be coming out shortly, so you'll get to see those soon. For each of these resources, we have a matching teaching guide. That includes kind of vocabulary, lesson objectives, scope and sequence, and resources that might help you use this particular Flexbook to teach that course that you're working off of. Those are available on our site. They're also available kind of in our app in terms of Flexbooks, so you can view them offline in our offline reader, and you can see them across the board. I want to spend just a minute or two talking about some of the interactives we've been building directly into these books. So you'll see the embedded Plix, like I showed you on the previous, or a couple slides ago, where you just kind of got that window, and then you could click on the box and open that Plix accordingly. We've also been creating interactives specific to the text that they're working with. So some of that is maybe you're talking about a graph, or you're building a shape. And instead of having the whole Plix environment that has the description and the interactive component and the questions that go with that, really we just want a student to be able to play with maybe the interactive piece. And so we've been taking some of those interactive components and embedding that directly within the text so that a student can manipulate lines, put different shapes in there, kind of work their way through, and actually interact directly in the text for something that's specifically tied into the text kind of description as they're working their way through. Some of the other interactives that you're going to start seeing in there are actual questions. So kind of the one up on the top right is one of our drag and drop questions that we revealed within one of our books. And that allows students to work with a question and actually get immediate feedback to see if they are doing that correctly. But you can tie those question environments specifically into the text from where it is as well. Similarly, the one on the bottom left is another option where a student would be manipulating something there, and they could put in different pieces and kind of see what's happening and how that works. So you'll see a variety of interactive pieces, whether it's just kind of the clean Plix environment without all of the questions and directions, or some specific questions as interactives within those texts. How to access them. So there's two ways to access your interactive Flexbooks. One is you could go directly to books/standard/CCSS. So that's your quick link as you work your way through. The other option is within our site. You could use Common Core Math. There's a link at the bottom of it. Or you could see it directly within the Flexbooks tab. So right now we have algebra and geometry for high school. So if you are in either of those branches, you would be able to see those math books directly there, in addition to kind of the link at the footer, as well as the direct link straight to those books. The other area that we've released new books in is last summer we finished a series of college Flexbooks. So we created 3 of them. We took some of our high school content, we converted it, we rewrote it, we added examples that were more relevant for college, we added kind of introductions and summaries. We did a lot of work working with domain experts and professors in those areas to make those books relevant for college. The 3 books that we created specifically ourselves are the College Pre-Calculus one, College Human Biology, and College Elementary and Intermediate College Algebra. Additionally, on our College Flexbooks page, we have a book called Origins and the Search for Life in the Universe. That was created by a Yale professor who graciously donated it to us to be available for you as well. This summer, we're working on practice for these books. And so we really wanted to say, yeah, some of that math practice for high school is relevant. If you're simply solving an equation, it doesn't matter. kind of in terms of the application piece for high school versus college. But really some of those more word problem-like questions and application questions we thought really needed to be rewritten and created for the college level. And so right now we're working on retagging and adding practice specifically targeted to college to go with these books. So keep your eye out for those updates and that practice as we release that later this summer, and you'll be able to kind of access all of those pieces. And then once again, kind of where to access college flexbooks. There are two options. Because we wanted to keep college a little bit separate from the rest of our K-12 material, right now the way to access that is to click on the Common Core Math link at the bottom, or a direct link there that we have from that point. So you'll see ck12.org/college will take you straight to those 4 college flexbooks. Once that practice is updated, you'll see practice links on every section within those books that directly ties to the correct math or science practice. Or you could go down to the footer and click on the college flexbooks option, and that will also take you to that piece. So that's kind of it for the content updates. It looks like we're doing a good job clearing out any questions that we might have in there. Most of this is brand new to you guys. So we definitely have kind of an understanding if you're just taking in all this information. We did just get one question that asked if you can integrate college flexbooks with high school flexbooks like practice or interactives. So our college flexbooks are a flexbook just like any other flexbook on our website. I actually know of a school in Pennsylvania that decided they liked some of the content for college pre-calculus, and she took that as the basis for the book she was working with and customized it from there. So you can mix and match sections from the college book with any other flexbook on our site. You could hyperlink to our interactives. Once that practice is attached, it'll be directly related to that piece. So you can treat it like any other book on our site, knowing that it will be tagged to first reach the college level practice if you're starting with a college level read. But otherwise, yeah, you're more than welcome to mix and match. That's the great part about kind of our entire platform, is that customizability piece. And so you definitely want to kind of encourage you guys to do that and tailor make it to what is best for your class. So I think with that, I'm going to show you a little sneak preview of something that is upcoming that we're very excited about, and we will continue on from there. So we are launching what we call FlexBooks 2.0 shortly. This will be launched with a couple specific books. Some of our Common Core math books will be available in this view shortly, as well as some science books as we just kind of roll out this new environment. You will still be able to access the Flexbook from the standard concept page and browse page like you have, but we wanted to kind of take some of the feedback we got from our offline reader and our Flexbook app and incorporate that into our core site. So some of the pieces that that our users said they loved was kind of the clean interface, the ease of access to get to different pieces. And so we're looking at launching this shortly so that you guys can actually have everything in one place and tie it all in together with this kind of less distracting environment for students to learn. So 2 key things that are here available. On the left side of any read, we have our navigation bar. This tells you where this particular section fits within the whole course that you're working with, whatever that is. In this case, I believe it's an algebra class that I was demoing. And so you can see introduction to functions, kind of as your large topic. I'm on linear functions right now. That's the one that's black. And then the green ones are the next sections within this particular book. So I can easily navigate between sections. I don't have to kind of figure out, well, this read is from which book and which chapter and where does that go? We make that available for you right there on the left side. On the right side, we also allow you to access practice. So there's a little practice button in the bottom right corner of these pages. You can pop it up. It gives you the option to click on practice, and it opens a window with practice right there that you can then close and go back to your read. One really cool thing about this is that the practice for science, we're testing this out, but if a student is struggling with practice, it will start highlighting paragraphs or parts of the read that might be most useful for them to go back and check out based on the questions that they've gotten wrong. So that's something we're testing out and trying to see, how does this work if a student is getting this question wrong? We think that based on the content in the question and the content in the read, this part might be the part they want to go back and double check before they continue to practice. So really integrating all of those components into a nice, clean, seamless structure and allowing students to access all of the resources directly in one place. On the bottom, we have a couple of little icons that are going to be helpful. So I want to go through some of those for you. The first is related content. So if you look at the bottom of that box, there's kind of that 3 dots related piece, and that will pull up related content. Right now, you might have seen this if you're at the bottom of a concept read within a Flexbook, one of our concepts Flexbooks. You might have seen, a video or some practice or an interactive or something like that. And this, instead of having to scroll all the way down to the bottom and kind of finding those pieces, no matter where you are on the screen, that bottom bar is going to show you the option to open up and see other modalities that are directly related to that content. So hopefully that is helpful as you go through. Another one on there is our resources one. So on current Flexbooks, there's a tab that says resources. In that, on our books, you might see uploaded answer keys at the chapter or book level for some of our resources. As a teacher, you could upload a worksheet, or you could upload answer keys for yourself, or maybe a homework assignment you wanted them to do, as long as that was still within our licensing. And so we're going to have the option to do that as well. That will eventually be coming out. And as we include any resources, you might see them there. As we make this option customizable down the road, you would have the option to upload those resources there as well. 2 other icons at the bottom there are notes and highlights. So just like in our current versions of our books, we want to make it really easy for students to interact with what they're reading, to actively learn and take notes. But you can easily see all these notes and highlights. One of the pieces that we've been asked for is, can I export those? Can I do something with it? Here you'll see the option there to download that, as opposed to just kind of having to screenshot it and work with it from there. But those notes and highlights work the same way they do in our current Flexbook, with some extra functionality and really quick, easy access right there at the bottom all the time, instead of having to scroll all the way down to where your notes are in a particular read. We also have a few view settings there. So the settings at the bottom allow students to kind of adjust for size of text or for background coloring, just to kind of continue to work with that idea of making that interface as clean and easily accessible to every student as possible. So those are available there just like they are in some of our other features across our site. One other really cool thing, I know we've had a lot of questions from teachers that say, I assign the read to, or a section of a Flexbook to my students, but I didn't see the report for practice. And that was often because you assigned one or the other, but not both. Right now, we really think that a lot of that practice that's tied to that text modality is really where you'd probably want to actually get the report for your students. And so right now, when you're assigning components, you would need to assign your read separately from your practice. In this new Flexbooks 2.0, you'd be assigning both the basic text component as well as the practice in one shot. So we made it a clean, easy option to assign both components. You can send instructions. You can click on multiple class periods as you work your way through. You can pick start dates and due dates. I know that's something that has come up a lot as people have asked for different pieces, like, can I create this assignment but not have it show up yet? So those are some options there. And this feature works the same way for CK12 and for Google Classroom. So just like you can currently assign directly to CK12 or Google Classroom within another text modality or interactive modality, this will be the same thing that you would do within Flexbooks 2.0. We'll also have kind of the options for this piece eventually roll into Schoology and Canvas integration. So you'll be able to see kind of this newer component there down the road. So that is a little quick sneak preview of our Flexbooks 2.0. If you want kind of to be able to ask a bunch of questions, see it live demoed, and work your way through, next Monday, so this coming Monday, July 16th at 11, our CTO is going to be on one of our lovely Certified Educator Program webinars this summer. And he's actually going to demo this live and take questions from users. So if this is something that you're interested in looking with, especially if you plan to teach some of our Common Core books next year, if you plan to teach some of our science content that's going to be rolled out in here, feel free to join us for that, or check out the recording of that and watch him demo that live, and he'll be able to kind of show you all those pieces and not just kind of the quick hit that I'm getting through in today's webinar. So you can register for that within our Certified Educator class, but we're also going to send out an email to all of our certified educators registered for this summer, and probably our certified educators from last summer as well, reminding them that they can join us for these sessions. We have a couple specific sessions that we're going to be talking about shortly as well. But we will get that to you if you're not in the Google Classroom, no worries.
If you guys have any last questions for Katie, you can start typing them in the Q&A window now. I'd like to give you just a little additional information. We do have a testimonials page at ck12.org/testimonials, or you can find it in the footer. So if you're wanting to hear from teachers, from students, from administrators, we've broken these down into kind of bite-sized pieces. You can see the titling there. Really search for what you're looking for. If you want to hear from a human being, somebody who's used our products, how they're using it in their situation, you're welcome to do that at the testimonials page. We're having a series of live chats, and again, we're gonna email this out in the same email that Katie was just talking about. But last year we had the feedback that a lot of our users wanted to be able to actually talk to each other. So we are in a Zoom webinar right now, but Zoom has the ability to set up a meeting where we can actually put you guys in breakout rooms, and you're able to turn on your audio if you choose to. You're able to turn on your camera if you choose to, and have a conversation. So during these regional chats, or we set up some for folks who are doing homeschooling or higher education, we want you guys to have a conversation. So if we have 10 people join, great, we'll break you up into a couple different groups. If we have 70 people join, you know, we're gonna put you into small enough groups that you can talk about what's going on in your area, network a little bit, share resources, share ideas. So you can register for this within our Google Classroom, or you'll be receiving an email from us that has direct links. We also have the Jumpstart for Educators form. Jumpstart for Educators is probably the one that you're wanting to join right now. We also have some state-specific Jumpstart forms as well. And if you've never used the student ones, you might check out the Science and Math and Plix Corner to see if there's anything in there that you could use with your students. Ask Me Anything. Our executive director and co-founder, Niru Khosla, she's going to join us next Wednesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and she is open to any question you guys have for her. This is your chance to talk to the boss, to talk to the founder, the decision maker here of what questions do you have for her? What suggestions, recommendations would you like to give to her? This is your opportunity to have questions answered live in a webinar. So if you're going to join us and you have any questions that you'd like to email us in advance, you can email jumpstart@ck12.org and just put "Ask Me Anything" in the subject line, and we'll make sure that that's at the top of our priority list when we're getting questions answered next Wednesday. A few other sessions. A lot of you hopefully have already attended some of these sessions, but assignment sessions that might interest you. We have a Getting Started with CK12's Adaptive Practice and Assignments. And then we take it to the next level with customizing your adaptive practice and assignments into quizzes and multi-concept assignments. And then we have some LMS breakout sessions. They're short sessions like this session of just smaller. For anybody who's using Canvas and Schoology, we have a webinar for you. For anybody who's using Google Classroom, we have a webinar for you where we show you where to click, what to do, how to make assignments outside of CK12 with these integrated learning management systems. We also have many Flexbook sessions. Getting started with Flexbooks is where you would want to start. Advanced Flexbook editing shows you more about embedding multimedia, using images, using our math editor. And then 2 more specialized sessions. If you are a math teacher, you probably want to join us for our Common Core math Common Core Math on CK12 session. We're going to highlight more in depth the books that Katie kind of previewed for you that have the Common Core interactive books, the teacher editions, a lot of exciting updates there. And then we have a CK12 platform for non-STEM users. If any of you guys are not, you're like, oh, there's so much math and science, but what does CK12 have for me if I don't teach math or science? We have one of those sessions coming up this afternoon, or you can join us next week. We'll talk about creating a book from scratch and other useful non-STEM things. And then additional sessions, we have a teaching strategy session that's happening tomorrow. And it focuses on how CK12 resources personalize learning for students. And then our simulations and Plex interactives webinar session, we had one this morning, and we'll have a couple more of those next week if you want some ideas for how to use those with students. Like we mentioned, there's a session resource page available to you in Google Classroom, and Star just put it in the chat window as well if you want just a printable two-sided page that will be a reference for you. We have a feedback form. This isn't mandatory, but we love getting your feedback about our webinars of how they're going, so feel free to leave feedback on this form. We're going to give you a direct link, and then it's also available within our Google Classroom. And tell us what went well, what we could do to improve. We read all of your comments. If you have not already liked us on Facebook, and if you're an avid Facebook user, you might want to like us at CK12 Foundation. And then lots of good stuff happening on Twitter. You can follow us at CK12 Foundation, or if you want to get in touch with us, all of our educators right now in the program are using the hashtag CK12 certified to label their tweets. So that's it for our core programming. Jumpstart at ck12.org is how you get in touch with us. And I'm going to kick it back over to Katie, and she's going to field any questions that you guys have.
Thanks, Lindsay. So it looks like the one question we have left right now is about live chats. And someone asked, I teach at a charter school, but many of my students are ASD and come from homeschool. Is it okay if I join the homeschool group to see how I could better serve those parents? Of course, you are more than welcome to join more than one of our live chats. You can join the one based on geography and the one based on homeschool or higher ed or whatever best fits for you. We just tried to create a couple of resource options, kind of breakdowns for that to help both with timing, making sure that people kind of abroad got done as soon as possible so they could sleep that day, as well as kind of creating environments in which you could connect with users near you that you might be able to collaborate with. So yeah, feel free to join us for as many or whatever works out best for you time-wise and otherwise. So I think with that, we have no more questions in the queue. We thank you for joining us for this kind of session on updates to CK12. If you're interested in testing out our CSV function, giving us feedback on co-teachers, etc., please feel free to email us and we will put you in touch with our development team for giving them feedback. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you so much.